Friends and neighbors, welcome back to the Brownstone. Thank you for tuning in. Today, we're talking about my most favorite interval and my most favorite, most beautiful sequential exercise, and that is the interval of sixths. Sixths. I did a whole video lesson on my favorite interval, the most beautiful sequential exercise. I think that might have been the title of the video. I'll leave it up here. You can check it out, and I suggest that you do, in case there are some things that I explain here that you might not understand. You can probably, most likely, you'll be able to find any information that I haven't covered in that video. So do check it out. Check it out first and come back. I'll be right here. So today, we're talking about the interval of sixths. There's no other way for me to say that word, I'm afraid. It's too hilarious and ridiculous. Today I'm going to be going through that interval in a different way than what was presented in the previous video, because there is a really beautiful sequential pattern built into this beautiful interval. So if I play if I play the root to the sixth and the second to the seventh, third to the eighth, and so on, that's the pattern. So I'm using the scale of G major to play through this. So when I play through and play those particular intervals, that is definitely a pattern. And you can see how I talked about that in that previous video that I pointed out. So there's a very cool thing that can happen with this particular sequence, and almost any sequential pattern that you play on any scale, where if you have a wide interval, you can play the first note of the interval, then play the second note of the interval, and then come down the scale back to the next note of your sequence. So if I play the root and the sixth, and then my next pair is going to be the second to the seventh, then I can also play the root to the sixth, and then come down the scale till I get to the second, and then play the seventh, and then keep going with that pattern. So anytime I hit the high note of my interval on the ascending pattern, I come down the scale to my next target. I'm sure you've heard this pattern before. So we can play through the exercise that way. That's the ascending pattern. Now, if I show you once again, there's my ascending and descending pattern on the sort of regular sixths exercise. But when I come down the pattern, I'm obviously reversing the sequence. So if I start on the high note, in this case the 11th, and then come down to the sixth, then what I want to do is I want to go up the scale to my next target. So if I started on the 11th, my next target is going to be the 10th. So that means the 10th to the 5th. Up the scale to the 9th. There's my 9th, down to the 4th. Up the scale to the octave, down to the 3rd. Up the scale, there's the 7th, to the second, up the scale to the sixth, down to the root, and I can even play up to the fifth, and then play the major seventh below the root, and resolve the pattern. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. So this is cool because when you play the exercise straight, what happens is you get kind of an odd figure. So that's in 5. Maybe you don't want to play it in 5. So there are different ways that you can get around this, obviously. You can play this in almost any time signature that you want. If you can figure out where you want to place the spaces between the notes, and that space, wherever you place the space, is going to remain consistent throughout the entire exercise. So if I play this in 4, let's say I do something like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. So you can hear I've developed a pattern here. And the spaces are happening in the same place every time. 2, 3, 4, 1. So I have a space happening on the first note, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then on beat 4, there's a space happening there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. So on and so forth. But then you can also challenge yourself to move the spaces around. If you know you're playing in 4/4, then that's a comfortable time signature for everyone. So then you can vary the rhythms a little bit. So if I start with that pattern, whoops, if I start with that pattern, and then reverse the scale or the sequence. I'm telling you, you can make music out of any of these exercises, which is why I always get on people who say that you shouldn't be playing sequential patterns. They are the most beautiful ways to understand a scale, any scale, and really get the patterns under your fingers so you can turn them into, melodic content that you can use and add to your vocabulary. So I'll go through this sequence one more time, and this time I won't leave any spaces between the notes. If I do that, the pattern happens to be worked out in like 5/4, right? I'll try to count through as I play the pattern, and I'll do it in 1/8 notes, let's say. So it'll be a nice, comfortable, slow tempo that will allow for me to get through the pattern comfortably. All right? So my pattern is this. Right? So on and so forth. So you can see how I'm playing the root to the 6th and then coming down the scale to my next pair of notes, the 2nd to the 7th. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1. That was not easy to do, to play and count at the same time. I should not have given Anna 1 the day off. But now you see how the pattern works. So have fun with it. This is a really beautiful way, as I said before, this is a really beautiful way to get to understand a scale. And I suggest you do this with all of your scales. Do this with the major scale, the minor scale, melodic minor, harmonic major, all the scales. I'm not an expert in those harmonics and melodics, but I may talk a little bit about that those particular scales in a future video. Until then, my friends and neighbors, I hope you can make some music out of that. I hope this lesson helps you on your path to become the best bass player that you can be. And if you do enjoy the lesson, please do me a huge favor and click like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, click the notification bell to let you know when these videos are coming to you. And of course, there are a number of ways that you can donate to the channel if you find value in these lessons and you are in a position to do so. You can donate via the link that I will leave in the description box below. You can also click the join button that will allow for you to donate a mere $5 a month for these lessons. And there's also like a little thanks button, which is really beautiful, that will allow for you to just donate a couple of bucks, even if you just want to donate $1. Am I going to be mad at somebody who decides to donate $1? No way. That's still a contribution to what we're doing here. So all of the above is greatly appreciated. And I thank you for joining me today. I'm going to leave it at that. And wish you all a beautiful day, and I will see you in the next video. My name is Rich Brown, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.